Hey, folks, it's Rick. I've just got a minute, but I wanted to comment because I've gotten a lot of questions from my friends and followers and Lincoln Project supporters today about an article in Axios by Mike Allen and Jim Vandehei. I like Mike. I like Jim. They are very much, the sort of the center of Washington repertorial life. Okay, but the article today was basically, I think, an example of both sidesism and of this imaginary center of the country that isn't in this fight. And yes, there are millions of Americans who are not engaged in politics. Great. That used to be a luxury good in an era where politics was a fight about, oh, we're going to have a 35.2% marginal tax rate or a 38.4% marginal tax rate. Are we going to fight about 200 million billion parts per billion of carbon or 300 billion parts per billion of whatever? All that stuff is gone now. You can't look at the two parties in the same way anymore. You have a party that is right now telling you, right now, and there's a great article, Aaron Blake wrote a great piece in the Washington Post yesterday about how Republicans are pretty much okay with Trump acting like a dictator. As he put it, dictator curious. Um, but you're not talking about one party that's the conservative ideological party and one party that's the liberal ideological party. You are now talking about a country where there is a radical party. It's not even on the right anymore. It's so far outside of that. It's an authoritarian party. They are saying Trump wants to ignore the rule of law, and that's okay. Trump wants to take executive action on everything, and that's okay. Trump wants my schedule never rests. Trump wants to be held without any accountability for any action he ever takes, immune from any sort of prosecutorial oversight ever. And you've got Joe Biden who's trying to pass legislation. You've got a center-left Democrat who's got a party that is not great at being an authoritarian party. They are scattered to the four winds all the time. There are a billion factions inside the Democratic Party. But back to their article, yes, there are a lot of Americans who don't believe in the extremes. There are, and God bless them for it. But unfortunately, on one side of this equation right now, there is a party that believes in the most extremes. They do believe in things like unlimited executive power. They do believe in things like ignoring the rule of law. They do believe in things like restriction of human liberty at every conceivable level. They do believe in things like Christian nationalism. There are the people running that side of the party, the people running that side of the Republican Party as it is manifested under Trump. They do believe in those things. They want those things. And they have shown much greater in a degree of intensity and intentionality than the Democrats ever have, that they're willing to go outside the bounds of the law, and they're willing to go outside the bounds of what America was truly built around, which is a Constitution, a Bill of Rights, and a system that was meant to constrain executive power, and that was meant to not return to a monarchy. And look, folks, I have read the Federalist Papers. I've read the Anti-Federalist Papers. I have read the convention notes that Hamilton wrote. I read the convention notes that Madison wrote. I have read the other convention notes, the Secret Correspondence, I think it was called, by Luther Martin and others. This is not a system that was built to pretend that the great middle would be protected by indifference. This was a system that understood that untrammeled, unlimited executive power is monarchy and authoritarianism, and it was built to fight that. And so I understand where Mike and Jim are coming from on this article, but I fundamentally disagree that we can say that these are two sides of the same coin, because both sidesism will not protect any of us when they're loading people into boxcars. And if you think I'm exaggerating, watch what happens when you have Stephen Miller and Steve Bannon and the rest of these madmen in charge when Donald Trump is elected for a second term. Thanks, folks.